He was minutes from being left behind. That's not an exaggeration. That's exactly what the shelter worker told us when we walked through the door that afternoon. There was a list, a real list, taped to the wall behind the front desk, and his name was on it. I didn't know that yet when I first saw him. All I saw was a small orange kitten curled in the back corner of a metal cage. So still, I thought for a second he wasn't breathing. His fur was matted in places, his ribs showed a little too much, and his eyes, when they finally opened and found mine, didn't look like a kitten's eyes at all. They looked tired. Not sleepy tired, worn out tired, like he'd already given up on someone stopping to look twice. Other cages around him were full of noise, kittens tumbling over each other, pawing at the bars, meowing for attention. His cage was the quiet one, the one people's eyes slid right past on their way to something more lively, more hopeful looking. I almost did the same thing. I almost kept walking. Something made me stop instead, some small pull I couldn't explain, even now. The shelter worker came over quietly. She didn't smile the way people usually do when they're trying to sell you on an animal. She just said, "He's been here longer than most, and today's his last day on the intake floor." I asked what that meant. She hesitated. "It means if nobody takes him home today, he moves to a different list." I didn't need her to explain further. I understood exactly what she meant, and something in my chest went tight and cold at the same time. I looked back at the kitten. He hadn't moved. He wasn't crying, wasn't reaching his paw through the bars the way some of the others were. He'd stopped doing that a while ago, she told me. He'd learned that reaching didn't change anything. I opened the cage door slowly. He flinched at the sound, curling in tighter, and for a second I thought he might not let me near him at all. But then I just waited. I didn't reach in right away. I let my hand rest near the opening, palm up, doing nothing, just being there. It took almost 2 full minutes before he moved even an inch toward me, 2 minutes that felt like an hour. And then, so carefully it barely registered, he pressed the top of his head against my fingers, just once, just barely. That was enough. I knew right then he was coming home with me. The car ride back was silent, except for the occasional small sound from the carrier, a shuffle, a soft exhale. I kept glancing over, half expecting him to be pressed against the far corner, and every time he was, watching the world go by through the mesh with those same tired eyes, like he still didn't trust that this was really happening. When we got home, I sat down on the couch and opened the carrier door, and he didn't come out, not for a long while. He just sat there in the dark little space, peering out at this new world of soft light and quiet sound, trying to decide if it was safe. I didn't push him. I'd learned enough in that shelter hallway to know that pushing never works with an animal who has learned the hard way that trust gets punished. So I just sat there on the floor beside the carrier, doing nothing in particular, reading, scrolling my phone, letting time pass. And slowly, slowly, his small orange face appeared at the opening, sniffing the air, testing it. By the end of that first night, he'd made it about 3 feet out of the carrier. He slept curled against the leg of the couch, not touching me, not touching anything soft I'd laid out for him, just close enough to see me if he opened his eyes.
The next few days were quiet in a way that worried me. He didn't play, he barely ate unless I sat beside the bowl. He flinched at the sound of the refrigerator, at footsteps in the hallway outside, at anything sudden. Every loud noise sent him low to the ground, ears back, body braced, like he expected the world to hurt him again. I found myself moving differently through my own home. Softer footsteps, quieter doors. I lowered my voice without meaning to, as if the whole apartment needed to hold its breath along with him. I kept thinking about that list on the wall, about how close this tiny, watchful creature had come to never getting the chance to learn that not every hand reaches out to hurt. Then came the night that changed everything. I was sitting on the couch, half asleep myself, exhausted from a long week, when I felt something small and warm climb into my lap. I froze, not wanting to scare him off. He circled twice, the way kittens do, and then curled into the crook of my arm. And then, for the first time since I'd brought him home, he closed his eyes and let himself go completely still. Not the frozen stillness of fear, the soft, heavy stillness of sleep. I didn't move for almost an hour. My arm went numb. I didn't care. From that night on, something in him seemed to unlock. He started following me from room to room, not clinging, just present, like he wanted to know where I was at all times. He discovered the sunny patch by the window and claimed it as his own. He figured out that the sound of the kitchen cabinet opening meant food, and he'd come running, tail up, no longer flinching at the world. He started playing, really playing, chasing a crumpled piece of paper across the floor like it owed him money, pouncing on my feet under the blanket, making these tiny, delighted chirping sounds I hadn't even known he was capable of. But it was the shoulder that became his favorite place in the entire world. If I sat on the couch, he'd climb up my arm and settle himself against my neck and shoulder, tucking his face into the crook where they met, and within minutes, he'd be asleep. Deeply, completely asleep, purring so hard I could feel it against my skin. He never did that in the shelter. The staff told me that later, when I brought him back for a checkup and they saw how he curled against me in the waiting room. They said in 8 months, they never once saw him sleep like that. Not really sleep, just doze with one eye open, ready to wake at the first sign of danger. Now he sleeps like that every single night, against my shoulder, completely limp, completely unguarded, like his body finally understands what his mind took months to believe, that no one is coming to take this away from him. Sometimes I sit very still just to watch him sleep like that, his small chest rising and falling, his whiskers twitching with some dream I'll never know the details of. And I think about that list on the wall, about how close we came to never having this moment at all, about how one afternoon, one decision to walk through those doors changed the entire shape of both our lives. He didn't know he'd been saved, not that day, and not for a long time after. He only knew that a hand had reached toward him and hadn't hurt him. That was the beginning of everything. I used to think rescuing an animal meant giving them a home. Now I understand it means something slower and quieter than that. It means giving them time to believe the home is real. If you're ever standing in front of a cage, looking into eyes that have already learned not to hope for much, I want you to know something. That stillness isn't emptiness, it's a question. It's an animal asking, silently, if you're going to be different from everyone else who walked past. Sometimes all it takes is staying long enough to answer. So tell me, do you think animals remember the moment someone chose them? Or is it something they simply feel deep in their bodies every single night after? I'd love to know what you think in the comments.